Kampala is the capital city of Uganda. However, cleaning the capital city has always been a contentious issue. Over time, Kampala has been cleaned by groups of community circles from the 5 divisions of Kampala who are not on contract but working as casual laborers for KCCA. These clean the city, desilt drainage channels, plus doing landscaping. This arrangement of a reservation scheme was meant to support vulnerable women like those living with HIV and AIDS and the widow earn a living. However, in 2022, another group of the youth came up to also engage in cleaning the city, and these are known as 7 Hills, which brought about confusion.
We got some other schemers who wanted to chase away these single mothers and widows, phase them out of this sector, and they brought on board a team of young men called 7 Hill. They came for us. We thought we would have a mechanism to have the two coexist and work side by side. We wanted to have a harmonization matrix or
plan. It was now agreed that in every division, all these divisions are divided into constituencies, two constituencies. So in Machinde, for example, 7 Hills was now given Machinde West constituency, and the community circle was given Machinde East. That is how we've been managed to balance the boat, and that is why somehow there is harmony going on in the city. And
the manager, 7 Hills Makindye Hopamayo, says 7 Hills comprises of the vulnerable youth from within Kampala.
Around the lockdown, now, the people who were originally cleaning the city, remember everyone was under a lockdown. And now the market, the people who were working in the markets were open. Now the city got dirtier and dirtier. What happened was that this team that was led by Commander Menton, we call him Commander Menton, it's called 001, started an initiative of bringing this marginalized community together. And now they began to clean the city. In essence, they were actually cleaning their homes, the trenches in which they were sleeping.
To harmonize, Kampala Capital City Authority had to give all the groups they subscribe to contracts. Available statistics with KCCA indicate that they have 4,000 cleaners, with 2,500 in community circles and 2,800 in 7 Hills Cooperative Society. However, the challenge at play, the contracts only run for 1 year and attract little pay.
That to make it a little wider so that they can canvass a relatively bigger period. A span of about 3 to 4, 5 years. We needed to enlarge that. That is still work in progress. But also the other challenge we are faced with is poor remuneration. As I said, the least paid are getting 6,000 per day.
Actually, a gap in cleaning the city. Much as our friends, the community circle, we are doing some work, but there were gaps identified. Now, what happened was around that time they did not have a contract. But now KCCA was trying to formalize the procurement process for cleaning the city, and that is how now we decided to participate under the procurement process that is under PPDA Act, and then we participated in the procurement of the job, and then we got it.
Amidst reduction in revenue collections at KCCA, the need to reduce the numbers of city cleaners was timely.
So we developed a schedule, and because these are casual workers, we developed a payment schedule. To be able to maintain our members, we developed a schedule that today, if one member gets salary, we give another member an opportunity. So in that 648, this time we only have about 300 people working in the constituency, simply because of the budget. That is what the contract, that is what KCCA budget can handle. Road, for example, Lukuli is one of the longest roads. It will, for example, require over 78 workers. That is only one road. But remember, the roads that we're supposed to clean are over 35 roads. Divide that by only 200 sweepers.
The reflector jackets are overused and many have faded. They can no longer reflect, hence exposing many to road accidents. With the small wages given to them, they are not entitled to any form of health insurance to cover emergency hazards they encounter in the wee morning hours while on job. To the contrary, the Director of Public Health says they can access treatment from the KCCA health facility in the city. In the previous contract of 2024-25, the cleaners could ask for funds from KCCA to procure personal protective gears for safety while on job. In the arrangement of the 2025-26, KCCA reserved the procurement to themselves. However, what's bungling cleaners in the current state of affairs are delays in receiving their PPEs.
Reflectors, when people are washed by rain, they fade. They get the material is so lean that sun, heat and rain, when washed, they sort of like fade, and therefore they enlarge themselves and they get old. So our people cannot have reflectors anymore, and that has caused so many of them to get accidents. Gumboots in that filth where people release sewage every now and again when it is raining. You realize the people who are supposed to go down there to work don't have gumboots, or the gumboots that we procured then in the previous contract, using the previous contract funds, have long been depleted. That was the month of February. We had over 7 accidents, fatal, serious ones.
That equipment is not readily available, largely on account of inadequate funding, to the extent that majority will work without gumboots, without gloves, reflector jackets and so on, which are very, very critical in giving sufficient protection to these vulnerable members of our community. They also have a challenge of getting the tools. Some even have to dig into their pockets to buy brooms.
Despite complaints on safety and health of the city cleaners, the delay of garbage trucks to pick piles of garbage in the streets of Kampala and neighboring suburbs is another elephant in the house.
They delay to come. Now it will rain, dogs will come, disorganize the rubbish, and then you find it littered again. Then someone may wonder if we have not worked. Come and ask maybe for 1,000 or 2,000. And these are people not known to us. So they pick this garbage and then they go and pour it in the drainage, in the drainages that we have already cleaned.
The Deputy Executive Director, KCCA Benon Kigenyi, says in the financial year 2025-26, KCCA was allocated only 14.8 billion shillings, yet it needs 20 billion shillings annually to do desilting, drainage channels, landscaping and payment of wages for cleaners.
For roads cleaning across the divisions, we needed 14.8 billion shillings, and we have received this. This will enable us to ensure that we keep with the process of ensuring a clean city.
If you look at the budget, honestly speaking, it can only cater for people's wages. And there is need for government to rethink. To push it a little, it will be like 20 billion to comfortably make sure that the people would, everyone, including the community circle and 7 Hills, because I know community.
They gave us that they would boost this revenue, this budget line, which has stagnated around 15 billion, including the administrative costs. Not all of it goes to the actual work or to facilitate the work. Some of it goes towards the administration or goes towards addressing administrative costs. So they promised that there would be a boost of around 6 billion.
Kampala Capital City Authority was supported with a modern truck from JICA that sweep and wash only Kampala flyover area. But this isn't enough. The authority needs more money to procure modern trucks that can sweep and mop roads in Kampala.
Absolutely necessary that we take the direction of mechanization, of adopting new technology or adapting to the new technology that is required to provide the cleaning services. Unfortunately, our budget line cannot support those wonderful ideas and projections we are having, save for the small interventions that were made by JICA when they constructed the flyover here. There are some equipments that we purchased, and currently they have been handed over to us by UNRWA. They are under our management and control right now for keeping that particular corridor clean.
At the Center of Managing Resources at KCCA, the entity suffered a deficit of 15 billion shillings, which the State Minister for Kampala, Kabuye Chofatogabye, says was due to the outstanding areas of city cleaners.
We thank government which has added us resources to address the issues of cleaners. You remember last time we had constant demonstrations out from the cleaners. Now we've got funds because we are having a deficit of 15 billion. And some of it was because of the cleaners. Now we've got an extra 10 billion, which is going to help in the payment of both those teams, and also been enhanced in terms of roads and in terms of drainages. And
cleaning the city requires collaborative efforts of all stakeholders like cleaners, garbage collectors, and the sensitization of the communities on best practices of garbage handling. I'm Nanfuka Faridah and Dan Lugemwa in Kampala.